Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. As promised, I'm going to be giving you a 1-year update of this concrete slab that I'm standing on. Pretty big, right? I did this with an 80-pound bagged concrete. There's another video that I made. It got over 1 million views, which is really cool, and it got close to 4,000 comments at this point. The reason I'm adding the comment part in is because there were a lot of questions, which I'm going to go over in this video as well. I'm going to answer them to the best of my knowledge. I'm not a professional when it comes to concrete. I'm just going to answer the questions that you have and the reasons of why I did the things that I did. First, I'm going to kind of go around the exterior of the building that's sitting on the slab and kind of show you what it looks like. And then I'm going to get some of this stuff out of here so I can actually show you the floor and show you that there are 0 cracks, 0 shifting, 0 moving around, 0 anything. I guess that's all for the intro because there's going to be a lot of talk with questions and answers, but let's get into it. The reason the intro was inside is because it's windy out here like always. But you can kind of see this is recycled concrete. I got it really cheap, which is why I use that. I kind of built it up around the slab, so it has like a nice transition to pull inside. I built it up all the way around. As you can see, this is pretty high. Don't know how well you can tell from the video, but this is waist high on me, and I'm 5'11" or 5'10". And I add an inch there, but this is almost waist high to me. So you can see that that's a fair amount that I had to add right there. And I just added that to kind of keep anything from shifting way over there. You know, in my mind, I was thinking that, you know, if the gravel begins to shift, it can fall out from under the slab and the slab could potentially move or something. So I just built this up to prevent that from happening. It doesn't look like much, but that was a lot. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight right there. I kind of built it up along the backside as well. Need to get that moss stuff off. Must have some water sitting back here or something, I'm not sure. Kind of built it up on this side as well. Probably can't hear me now because the wind is coming on. But you can see the slab. No cracks, no separation. The reason I'm talking like that, I'll go over in a minute. That right there leaking out is bar and chain oil. Chainsaws like to leak bar and chain oil. And that's where I keep all my saws, as you'll see. Well, you probably saw it a while ago when I did the intro. And you can pause this if you need to. This is in 5K. So you can look for the little minuscule cracks that aren't there. Let's get inside and start answering questions. So for this video, I had planned on opening the doors to get some natural lighting in here so you can kind of see my eyes a little better. But it's just so windy outside. It's going to affect my audio quality, and it's really annoying. So what I did was take notes down on my phone of the most frequently asked questions, and I'm going to answer them to the best of my knowledge. I'm still going to go over the entire slab in a bit, but I got to get this stuff out of here, and the wind will come. You will hear wind noises. Sorry for that. I'm doing the best I can. As far as the oil, a while ago you saw there's a chainsaw missing right there, but those are my saws. They have bar and chain oil, and if you didn't know, chainsaws leak oil. It probably went down there and went all into the floor right there, which there's nothing I can do about that because I'm not draining those things after every single session. So let's get into these questions. Okay, so the biggest question was, why didn't you use rebar? Why didn't you use mesh? Honestly, I'm not a professional, so I'm gonna say I called professionals. Like, I called a couple of different companies in the area and asked if they recommended using it. They said that they don't typically use it on a 4-inch residential on-grade slab. That's what they told me. And that being said, I do like landscaping, tree work, etc. I've been around hundreds of houses being built. I mean, they're throwing up subdivisions in my area as fast as, I mean, you can literally drive by one day and see a forest, drive by the next day and it'll be a subdivision, and there are no rebar in any of those driveways. I'm sure they're putting it in the, like if it's like a slab house, like a slab house is like a concrete slab and they build a house on top of it. We just call it slab house. I don't know if that's the correct term, but I'm sure they put rebar in that because it's something structural. But as far as driveways and things go, I never see rebar, never see mesh. And like I said, I talk with professionals, guys that do this for a living. They said that they typically don't use it unless requested. So that's what I went with. It was cheaper, less work for me, and I see it being done all the time. I don't see any busted up driveways, so that's what I went with. Another thing I want to add to that is I've read online that being in cold climates, you know, like the freeze thaw cycle, I think you guys call it, causes concrete to kind of buzz because it shifts the ground underneath. You can see right now, I'm in gym shorts and a t-shirt, and it is February 7th, which is like wintertime here. I mean, it doesn't really get cold here. When it does, it might only be for a day or two, so you don't really have to worry about the ground freezing or nothing like that. So maybe that's why they don't use rebars, because of ice. I don't know. You'll have to research into it. Let's move on with the plethora of questions. Haha, I was smart and I turned some more lights on in here. Maybe that'll help. All right, the next question, the next big question was bagged concrete isn't as durable as truck. I don't know if that's true or not. The bags that I used said that they were all 4,000 PSI concrete. And from everything I researched online, truck concrete is between 3,000 and 4,000 PSI. So if there's a between and the bags say they are, I would say bagged is just as equally strong. You can get stronger bagged concrete. You can request stronger truck concrete. So next big question was, or statement, accusation, there's no way you saved money. Okay, let me tell you this. I saved a lot of money. I saved over $10,000 actually. And it would probably be more right now because of inflation and all of this. When I did this, we got multiple quotes. All the quotes were $14,000 and up. Okay, $14,000 and up. I have like $3,800, $3,900 in all of this work. That includes the gravel, that includes the concrete, that includes all the work. I didn't say that I saved money going bagged over truck. I said I saved $10,000 doing this. And at the time, you gotta remember this is when COVID and all this crazy inflations and price fluctuations and all this stuff was going on. Truck in my area was gonna end up being around $200 plus per yard. That was with delivery and all that stuff. I was able to get number 80-pound bags for $3.20 each. How I did that, Home Depot and Lowe's, like price match or whatever. So I think Home Depot had a better deal than Lowe's. So I went to Lowe's, showed them that. They take off a certain percentage, and to go along with that, I had 5% off my credit card, which I also was luckily able to get. I talked to the manager or whatever. So I got the bags for $3.20. I think, I don't know what they are right now. I'm thinking they're still around $4 or something, but the price bounces up and down. I saw them a couple of weeks ago for like $3.40 something, so they haven't changed that much. I have not checked on the price of truck. I checked on the price of truck maybe like, I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago, and they were around $165. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was $165 per yard with a 4 to 6 week lead time. So I can go get bags. The lead time is a big one too, because this building, for example, I'll get into that in a minute, but like let's say you go purchase a building like this and you've not had concrete done yet, which I would recommend. This is kind of off topic, but if you're gonna get a building like this, go talk to them, figure out what you need, what size you need, figure out what the price is and all that type of stuff, lock it in, or not lock it in, just figure out what the price is, come back, prep your ground, pour your pad, and then go back and buy it. Because when we got this building ordered, the lady told us it was gonna be like a month. Well, 4 to 6 weeks is not gonna work with the truck. I gotta do this by bagged if I'm gonna have a pad poured. I'm not sure if you saw in the other video, I kind of poured like the apron. There's like a slab all the way around where the center wasn't done yet because I was scared that I wasn't gonna get done with the concrete and the building was gonna get here. I know it's kind of off topic, but I got so far off topic trying to give you guys some good advice that I forgot what I was talking about. But to prove to you, that, keep in mind this is 14 months later, I pulled up on the Home Depot website. Look, you get 42 bags or more, which you're definitely gonna do if you pour a slab this big, $3.83. Now you can get a Lowe's credit card if Lowe's is more expensive, and they'll normally knock off more of a percentage because they price match plus or something like that. I don't know what it's called, that's what they did at the time. But let's say that you paid $3.83 a bag, right? I'm gonna be waving the camera around, $3.83 a bag, and then you get 5% off. That brings the price down to $3.64. And they're 45 80-pound bags in a yard of concrete. So look, that makes the price $163. I don't know. I mean, you know, if truck concrete's only $165 or something like that, that's not what it was at the time. I mean, go for that. But In the example that I gave you, what happens if you get a building that's going to be here in a month and your concrete company says 4 to 6 weeks? Are you going to go back? Or are you going to take the chance to wait on that truck to get here and then you're going to have to be hustling? I like to be prepared. So plus, if you pour concrete slab, you're normally supposed to wait like 30 days before you put anything on it. I wasn't done with that point actually, because I remember reading in the comments and some of you guys were saying that concrete in your area, it was like $115, $120 a yard. You better believe I'd be going truck if it was that cheap here. I wish it was that cheap here because I have a lot of other projects to do. For whatever reason, prices fluctuate greatly from state to state. It's, you know, from the end of the United States to the other, prices are insanely, drastically different, and I don't know why. I mean, some of you guys were telling me that 80-pound bags of concrete was like $7 or $8 in your area, which that's freaking ridiculous. But I'm just lucky, I guess, that I live in an area that bag concrete is more affordable. I don't know what to tell you. The point I'm trying to get across is prices are different everywhere. Everybody's situation is not going to be the same. Another one I got quite a few of is time is money. You didn't save a penny. Well, if I pay $3,800 for something and you pay $14,000 for something, I would say that I saved money. I saved over $10,000. I don't know what some of, and I'm not talking to everybody. I'm talking to like maybe 1 or 2% of the comments. Most of it was positive. I just wanted to address this because this popped up quite a few times. I'm sure that the people that are seeing this is not officially using 24 hours of the day. I'm sure you have a few hours to spare every day. That being said, that goes to waste. I understand time is very valuable. We all have a limited amount of it. But if I was going to choose doing this over sitting on the couch or watching videos or doing something like that and criticizing something that somebody else did, I would rather be doing this instead of downing somebody. I learned a lot from this project. Apparently I was able to show other people that this can be done, which is kind of cool. And I saved a lot of money. So next question is a very good question. Is why didn't I use the 1-2-3 method? And if you guys don't know what that is, that's mixing Portland cement, sand, and gravel individually. Like you're actually making the concrete like that. And believe it or not, the price of sand in my area, I'm not sure what it is now, but at the time it was going to bump the total cost of concrete per yard up to about $163 per yard, which that's freaking crazy. That's a lot of extra work. If it bumped it down to like $70 or $80 a yard, I'd be like, heck yeah, I'm going to do it that way. But at the time, it just wasn't feasible. That's why I didn't go that route. You know, it is kind of cool if you do that route too, because you can add a little bit more Portland or a little bit more gravel and make your concrete a little bit stronger. But I just didn't go that route because it didn't make sense at the time. It might now. I don't know. Another big one was how did I prep the ground before I did all the concrete and gravel and all that. Luckily, I have a tractor. It saved me a lot of time. I don't even know if I could have done this by hand. I mean, I could have done it by hand, but it would have been a lot of work. Probably took a month or something. But I use this tractor. I got a block box blade attachment for it outside. You probably saw it when I was walking around the shop. I used that to drag the topsoil off of the clay. Luckily, I didn't have to dig far because the majority of the land around here is a straight up clay with a little bit of grass on top of it. But I did that, took the topsoil off. Then I put down, like I said, I don't remember the exact number. I had to look at the receipts, but I think it was like 130 tons or something of crusher run. And I compacted it every couple of inches. I have it's called a cultipacker. I don't know if you guys know what that is. You can Google it. But I used that. I drove over it with that. I drove over it with my truck, drove over it with a UTV, pulling the cultipacker and the roller and all of that. So I made sure it was really good and packed before I added more gravel on top. It's very important that it's packed to prevent any kind of pockets or any kind of settling or shifting or all that, because that's all it does. If you just threw a pile of gravel, like if you just dumped a pile of gravel out and it rained on it and it dried and it rained on it and it dried, well, what that's going to do over time is going to compact and get smaller. And the reason you want to compact it before you put anything on top of it is to prevent that from happening and having little cavities under your concrete pad. And that's what generates, you know, cracks and shifting and all this type of stuff, is the fact that the ground beneath it wasn't properly prepared. Did I own or rent the tools? Obviously, you can see here I own them. Luckily, I have the tools available to use whenever I need them. Like I said, I do landscaping, lawn maintenance, and tree work and all that type of stuff. And through the years, I'm only 31, but through the years of working, I've luckily gathered up a lot of tools, and that didn't cost me much. I know you can rent them, and I don't think it costs that much, to be honest with you. there's a Home Depot near me, but there's another one like 45 minutes away. And the one near me doesn't rent tools, but the one 45 minutes away does. So that's something you'll just have to check into. We also have like a Sunbelt Rentals and a United Rentals, and they have things like that as well. They even have compactors and any type of equipment you can think of, they'll probably have it. So that's something to check into if you're only going to do this like one time. You'll save money either way. Doing this stuff yourself, you're going to save money because, I mean, you could... Perfect example, the money that I have in this, I could screw this up 3 times and still save money redoing it. Isn't that crazy? Let's get into the next one. Question, did I use too much water? Answer, no, I actually used less water than what it called for, than what the bags called for. Hey, there's some bags sitting back there. Hey, there's the mixer I used too. But I used this bucket, and you see the little orange line right here. What I did was actually read on the bag what it said per bag, and I was mixing 2 bags at a time. So I got like a measuring cup. I legit got a measuring cup, measured out exactly what it said, and it ended up putting me like up here somewhere. So I just made a mark a little bit beneath it because I would rather have too little water than too much, because then I can always just spray a little bit more in there with a hose pipe. I'm not sure why in the video some of the shots looked like they had a bunch of water on it, because they didn't. It could have just been the way the sun was hitting it or something and was pulling water to the surface. How many cubic yards did I actually pour by hand? I'm pretty sure it was 830 bags, and you'd multiply that by 0.6 because that's how many cubic feet are in the in an 80-pound bag. You get 498. Then you divide that by 27 because there are 27 cubic feet in a cubic yard. I hope I'm wording that right. But the answer that I'm getting, and you can do the math, I may not be right because I'm doing this off the top of my head, but it's 18.4444 cubic yards. It's bright. And luckily I'm behind a building that's blocking the wind. The reason I'm showing you outside of my trailer is the question was, how did I actually haul my concrete? I hauled it with this trailer and this F-250 truck right here. I got everything in 4 loads. I ended up getting 20 pallets total, and I used like 19 and a half pallets. So I think I had like 10 or 15 bags left over, something like that. In concrete, you're better to have too much than not enough, because you can't add to something that's already dried. Well, I mean, I guess you could, but it's not worth all the extra hassle and it wouldn't look right. Just for math's sake, because it was like 0.05% of the comments saying, no way you hauled all that stuff. You must have made 1 million trips, da 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 da. There are 42 80-pound bags on a pallet, and I'm doing the calculations, that's why I'm shaking or whatever. Whoa, that's not right. 42 times 80, that's 3,360 pounds, right? Times 5, that's 16,800 pounds. That's not impossible. That's actually not even that big of a deal. 16,000, 17,000 pounds, you want to call it, with the wood and everything. It's, you know, that's not unbelievable. Some F-350s now can tow 30,000 pounds plus. So 16,800 pounds is completely doable, no questions asked. Why didn't I slow down and show everybody the process? It would have been nice if I had actually taught you something instead of you just wasting time listening to the awful music. I don't feel like I'm in any way sort of position to be showing you guys how to do concrete. I'm not a professional. I've only done like small little slabs and small little steps and things like that. Never have done anything this big. So I don't feel like I'm qualified to be showing you that. I wasn't even gonna do the video, which I'm glad I did because it got 1 million views and that's pretty cool to say. But my wife was like, hey, since you're doing that big project, why don't you just set your camera up? And I did that, did a time lapse, and I put the awful music over it. Sorry for that. I thought it was funny at the time until it started picking up views, and I was like, man, maybe I should have not used that music, but it's too late now. But yeah, I'm not a professional. It's just here to show you guys that it can be done. If you put your mind to something, we got Google now, you can kind of figure out concrete. It's really not that complicated. I mean, it probably won't be the best looking. If you've never done it before, maybe you could start out making small slabs. Mine still doesn't look the best, but I'm happy with it for the amount of money I saved. And this is obviously just used as a storage shop. So, I mean, it's not like entertaining guests or anything like that, you know, where I really care about the appearance all that much. And it's smooth enough that I can roll a chair over it if I'm working on something. So that's all that matters. How did I work around cold joints and, you know, the concrete actually drying before I got finished pouring and spreading it out and screeding it and all that type of stuff? I did this in December, not of last year, but the December before last. So like I said, it's been like 14 months or so. The temperatures when I did this were like low to mid 40s, sometimes high 40s. It didn't really get below freezing. You don't want concrete to get below freezing because that'll really mess it up, especially when it's trying to cure. So that being said, I don't know if you guys know this, but when it's cooler out, you have more time to work with concrete because the water doesn't evaporate as fast. If I had tried to do this in the middle of summer here when it's 95 degrees, that would have been very not, oh my goodness, it would have been a disaster because it would have been drying as soon as I was putting it out. But luckily I did this when it was cooler, so I had plenty of time to work with it. And luckily for me, the weather just turned out to be absolutely perfect. So I'm thankful for that. How much weight did I actually pick up and move with my hands? I did 830 times 80. And this is not with water or anything, but the total weight that I actually picked up and cut the bag and dumped it into the mixer was 66,400 pounds. That's kind of cool to say I did that in just a couple of days. And it's pretty cool to say I did all this by hand too. It's interesting, you know. How big was each individual section that I poured? That was the very big question. And they ended up being a little over 6.5 feet wide by a little over 20 feet long. I'm not gonna get down to like inches and all that stuff, but you know, 6.5 by 20 is pretty fair to say that's the size. And I did cut expansion joints. I did not record that because man, I dry cut it. I don't have any kind of wet saw or nothing like that. I dry cut it. And you can see, can you see that line right there? I'll go over that more in detail. I'm gonna pull everything out and show you guys more in detail of the floor. But you can see the expansion joint all the way down through there. And hey, the saw I have that I used is actually right here. This is the blade that I used. Hopefully you guys can see that well enough. But that is the blade and saw that I used. It's a circular saw, like a diamond blade in it. What I was getting at is I was gonna record it, but I didn't because man, it made a dust storm. I actually set my camera up to record, and I mean, it was like you were standing in just complete fog and couldn't see anything but white. It was insane. And yes, I wore a face mask and safety equipment because first I didn't, and I couldn't breathe. So then I smartened up and put some mask on, which I highly recommend, and glasses as well, because that stuff's, it shoots a lot of bad stuff into your face. So definitely need to put some safety equipment on. But that's what I used. I did cut expansion joints. There are calculations online to know, you know, like the distances of the expansion joints and the depths and all that. Not gonna get into the details because I'm not a professional, but the information is out there and it's easily attainable. Another big one, and I'm not sure why, because you could clearly see in the video if you like paused it or whatever. Maybe it was because the time lapse was going so fast, but a lot of people thought, can you see that separation right? That's where the forms were. That small crack is where the forms were. And, you know, the question was, why did you leave the wood, or why did you leave the forms in and then pour the concrete? Well, I didn't. I took the forms out. I guess it was just hard to see or something. But what I did was I had poured, and you have to look at the other video because I took a picture of the way I had the forms set up. I would pour one like that. I'm pretty sure I poured the outside, the 4 outside ones first. That makes sense. So I'm pretty sure I did do that. Pour the 4 outside forms first. And then I removed the wood in the center, and then I used the outside forms as the form, if that makes sense. You know, because there's nowhere for the concrete to go, so it's gotta sit right there, and then when you smooth it, it dries in place. But I did remove the wood. I don't know why, and I mean, it was a good bit of comments for saying, why'd you leave the wood in there? So I did remove the wood. Another one was, why did I use the black plastic? Again, you have to refer to the other video, but I have black plastic all underneath this. And the purpose for that is, one, to prevent the concrete from drying too fast. It actually holds the water. And so like if you just put concrete down on like just bare dirt, all the water will run out into the concrete, or run out of the concrete into the dirt. You put the plastic down and it actually holds it, and it allows it, I mean, this is from what I read, I don't know. You have to do research, but from what I've read, the plastic actually holds the water in place and allows the concrete to cure better, and it also acts as like a vapor barrier. So the ground naturally has a lot of moisture in it, and I don't want that moisture coming up in my building, getting in all my tools and stuff. How is it holding up? So far, everything has held up excellent. I'll show you as much as I can. I'm not removing all these shelves and stuff, that's crazy, but I'll show you as much as I can of the floor. There are no hairline cracks, no shifting, nothing has moved. Everything is just the way that I put it, or the way that I, you know, finished up with, other than stains. I got a lot of oil stains and grass stains and all kinds of stuff that probably should be cleaned up. But other than that, everything's holding up perfect, and I could not be happier. The mixer that I used, it was kind of in the background of over when I was looking at the bucket, but it's just the Harbor Freight. It was like it wasn't the cheapest one I could find, but it was like the best one for the price. I'm thinking with a coupon, it was like 180 bucks. They used to have coupons. I don't know if they still do because I haven't been to Harbor Freight in a while, but they used to have coupons on that thing. It was 180 bucks. And I actually checked through my videos because I actually did a review on it. And when you saw it, you probably saw some things that doesn't look like the one you'd buy from the store. I had to do some modifications to it for it to made it easier for me to use and made it a little more, you know, less flimsy, if that makes sense. But check out my other video on that if you're interested in the concrete mixer I used. And also the thickness. I'm pretty sure I figured out the overall average thickness was right around 5.5 inches. I was aiming for 4 to begin with, but then was like, a little bit thicker is probably not gonna hurt anything. And I'm sure it's not exactly 5.5 inches all the way across. It could be a little thinner in some areas, it could be a little bit thicker. So in my mind, if I average 5.5, it's definitely not less than 4 anywhere. So I'm happy with that. Another excellent question was, did I get injured and did I have to go to a chiropractor afterwards? And the answer is no. For me, it was more mental than anything. I do a lot of like outdoor work and like move a lot of very heavy things like logs and all this type of stuff. So I'm used to the physical aspect, but the mental aspect was like, dude, when you look out and see all those bags of concrete and you see all that stuff you have to do, all the bags you got to deal with, it is kind of like, it messes with you mentally, but don't look at it like that. Just look at it one bag at a time, do it one thing at a time, and you'll get in the groove of doing it and you'll completely forget about all that stuff. And then you'll turn around and you'll be halfway finished and you'll turn around and half of that stuff will be gone and you're like, well, and it's just like that, man. Mental is more mental because it was lift the bag, cut the bag, dump the water, mix it, dump it, spread it. But I did that like 400 something times. So it was definitely more mental than physical for me. And it was a great workout, that's for sure. Last but not least, would I do it again? Was it worth it? And is there anything that I would do differently? It was definitely worth it. I would definitely do it again, especially with the money savings. Matter of fact, I am gonna be doing it again, so stay tuned for that. I'm building another shop, probably bigger than this one for my wife, but it's gonna be insulated and have air conditioner, and I'm gonna put rooms on the inside of it, so stay tuned for that. It's gonna be a big project, gonna be a lot of learning going on there. The only thing that I would do different, I wish I had pinned these slabs together just for like added insurance. And if you don't know what I mean by pinning the slabs together, if you watch me build this, there's 6 separate slabs, right? And the exteriors are separate. There's 4 sections for the outside. Pinning the slabs together means run rebar and one slab to the other to kind of connect them together, kind of evenly space them out, if that makes sense. Just for example, let me see if I can see you. This line right here, that's 2 separate slabs all the way up. And they're not connected in any way, they're just sitting there, right? I wished that I had put rebar to connect these together. I hope I'm making sense. It should make sense, but, and what that would have done is kind of kept all the slabs together, keep them from shifting around. Like I said, I shouldn't have any problems because I did the foundation pretty well. I mean, I put way more gravel underneath it than I've ever seen anybody use, and gravel's good. I packed it down really well, so there shouldn't be any shifting, but if there is, anything you can do can be corrected. So I'll keep that in mind. And if I do have any issues, like I said, I'm gonna be doing yearly updates on this just to show you guys. If I do have issues, I'll show you what the issue is and how I corrected it. The last thing I need to do here is I'm gonna get the mower and the tractor out, back out. I'm gonna kind of walk around and prove to you that there are no cracks or anything. And then I'm gonna go to the site that I'm talking about, that I was talking about. We're gonna build the new shop addition and all that type of stuff for my wife. Then that'll be the end of the video. Really appreciate you guys making it this far so far. As promised, we're gonna go over the floor. I'm just gonna walk up and down it like that. I was gonna explain too, the way I did it with those wood forms was kind of raised. You can kind of see it better in the sunlight, I think. That's why I waited till right now. But I actually had to get a grinder. I got like a diamond grinder and just ground that lip off so it would be like a smooth transition across. So if you're rolling around in the chair or something like that, see the roll around chair over there? If you're rolling around in that, you'll get snagged up on it. But that's why I did that. I kind of ground it off. You see how it's just like ground flat. So that's what that is. And this is the exterior slab because the building's kind of pushed back on the very back of this slab. But this is like the exterior slab. And as I said, I'm not a professional, so it's not going to look the greatest. But with the money saved, it's worth it to me. Go ahead and walk around this way. And all I'm doing is showing you guys that there are no kind of crazy major cracks or nothing like that. I'm getting to show you all my junk. So if you want to come steal some of it, go ahead. See, no cracks, no hairline cracks, just a lot of dust and mess. This rug ground off again. And like I said, I'll do this every year just to keep you guys updated. See if this was a good idea or not. So far it seems to be. Let's go to the side I was talking about. So here's the area I was talking about pouring the other slab and building the shop. Hopefully you can kind of see me right here. This is my wife's current shop, and this is where we do all the the wood cutting and sanding and staining and all that type of stuff. Well, we don't really have room to package in there, so right now we're carrying everything into the garage and then carrying that into the house and packaging, which is kind of a big hassle, but it's better than nothing, right? But what the plan is to pour a sidewalk starting over there behind the building, because you know our driveway is right there. Pour a sidewalk, go all the way to here, and have maybe a 10-foot gap, because we have an air conditioner in this building. I made a video on that too if you guys are interested. But I have an air conditioner there, have like a 10-foot gap right here, and then maybe, hopefully you guys can see this all well, but go out for maybe right there, about 50 feet back and about 26 feet or so wide, and just pour a solid slab. It's gonna take, as you can tell, it's gonna take a lot of gravel, and as I said before, our dirt around here is pretty much just clay. So we got a lot of clay there, and I'm gonna scrape the grass and the topsoil, what little there is there, put gravel, do the pad, then the building, and so forth. I'm gonna get back inside because I think it's kind of windy. Hopefully you guys aren't picking it up and at least able to hear something that I'm saying. Like I said a few minutes ago, if you guys made it this far, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to, you know, check out my videos and listen to me talk. Hopefully some of the people that ask the questions will watch this and get the answers that I have. May not be the rightest of the right answer, but it's to the best of my knowledge, and that's about the best you can do, right? Hopefully you guys got some inspiration. Hopefully you guys got something from this. If you did, please like and subscribe, comment. I like to interact with people, talk to them and all this type of stuff. So just let me know what you thought of it. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one.